Welcome to Tidal Talk Episode 2. In Tidal Talk, we have discussions about things relating to Splatoon. And if you're interested in listening to Episode 1 of Tidal Talk, you can find it in our description below. Discussing the most recent Splatoon 2 Direct that we had. And my name is Jin, and with us today we have Amber.
Hello.
Argo.
Hello there.
Tea Party.
Hello.
Lauren.
Oh, hello.
Gatsby.
Hello.
Sidan.
G'day.
And Corey.
Hello.
The new weapons that they revealed. Starting with the Clash Blaster, which was like a crayon-looking blaster of a thing. So the Clash Blaster is like a Luna Blaster, but it looks like it has slightly more range than a Luna Blaster. Has the fire rate of a Rapid.
It looked faster than a Rapid.
From what I've seen in the direct, it takes about 2 direct hits to get a kill, and maybe like 3 to 4 indirects to secure a kill. So you really have to be accurate if you want to get those quick kills. This weapon has the Splat Bombs and the Stingray, which is a pretty solid set. I'm personally excited for this set because I always wanted a Rapid Blaster with a bigger blast radius. So this looks like a weapon playing a lot. It looks like it can provide a lot of pressure to your opponents, and you can do like a lot of combos with the Splat Bombs, especially on maps like Tower Control.
The only thing I can say with the Clash Blaster was when I first saw the model and nothing with the gameplay, I thought it looked really, really cool and I was excited, and then I saw it was a Luna Blaster and I was immediately not excited anymore.
Yeah.
But then
Because it's a Luna.
But then the other thing is like there's that where it makes you just hate it already, even though it looks so cool. But what's the point of it? Like, we have the Rapid Blaster, we had the Lunar Blaster. We didn't need an in between of the two. I don't think we needed that. We have it anyway.
There's gonna be a lot of like blasters now. Regular blaster, and then Luna, and then you add this. It'd be too much.
It didn't seem like this was a thing we needed. It just we had the Luna, we had the Rapid. Combining the two, it just didn't really make sense to me.
I would say the key here is that this cannot one-hit KO. As far as outside of the Rapid, which advantage is range, every other blaster can one-hit KO. So with the biggest weakness that I see with the Clash Blaster is it's not a very, very quick kill. So I think they were just trying to find something where it's like, okay, let's give them that blast radius, but let's not give them that super quick kill that the Luna Blaster or the Range Blaster provides.
Yeah, I honestly feel that it's basically just the Luna to the regular blaster. And I really do like its design, but I don't think I'm going to use it that much. It might find its footing, though. Maybe they'll balance tweak it if it is too weak initially, or maybe, and we just don't know yet.
And one thing I noticed, which kind of puts it on the weaker end of the blasters, is that when they revealed the kit, they put emphasis on using the Splat Bombs to get pull-off combos. So it's kind of implying that if you want to get that fast kill, you gotta work for it. You gotta throw your Splat Bomb and you gotta combo with it. Otherwise, you're probably looking at an okay-ish time, but maybe you don't have to rely too much on accuracy, I guess.
That was actually one of my concerns. Is that blasters are generally pretty accurate weapons, but if we're gonna have this multiple hitting blaster, I'd assume that they'll increase the spread of the actual blasts, and I think that's gonna really affect whether you can get that quick kill or not.
Yeah, I was thinking that this is gonna be the ink brush to the octo brush from Splat 1, because Luna also has Splat Bombs, just like this one. So, and Luna's probably just gonna outclass it because it can get the quick kill with a single direct, and it's still probably gonna have like 60 to 70 damage for an indirect.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. The Flingza roller. To me, when I saw this, I thought it was weird. The Flingza roller, it's just shaped depending on how you fling it. When you fling it horizontally, the roller is in its full form, and it has a swing speed of Carbon Roller. and when you swing it vertically, it shrinks to a shorter form. So you have a turfs like a dynamo, and probably has maybe even the kill power of a dynamo compared to other roller vertical splits. When I was looking at it, it's like, how the heck gonna fit like the other rollers? Like, where does it fit in there? And maybe it's because I'm not a roller main, but it's like I have no idea how that Flames of Roller is going to fit in the meta.
So I'm not a roller main, but I'd like to put my point in real quick. I see it being a real mix-up. Like, I think it could really find its place because you can play it many different ways. It seems like it's going to be adaptable because it has that close, fast-range combat like the Carbon Roller, but you can get long-distance kills if you play it right. I think it has a lot of potential. We'll just have to see how it performs in real world use once the game launches, honestly.
Right, and maybe it also depends on with the kits. What I was going to ask is like, do any of our roller users have any input on the Flames of Roll by any chance on what they thought when they saw it?
I think it's the best thing ever.
Same.
Well, my favorite weapons to play are Carbon and Dynamo, and to combine them into one is like my dream come true. So it has both an offensive and a defensive presence. Like Argo said, really adaptable. Shame they didn't show us any of its sub or special, because I'm curious about what else it has. But just by itself, I think I'm going to probably main this.
I actually forgot that you actually specifically main Carbon Roller, and you also play Dynamo Roller. So that's going to be very interesting how you're going to use that.
So explain it again. It's a short range, horizontal, carbon-like flick, right? For horizontal.
The short range is Carbon, and then the vertical is Dynamo.
The vertical is like a dynamo. See, this is where, again, it just makes me wonder what else is gonna come out, because just like with the Clash Blaster, it's just a combination of two existing weapons.
Mhm.
So I just wonder like what else. Like this one feels a bit better than the Blaster because it feels like it has a bit more. Because honestly, like the Blaster, it feels like it has no use at all to me. But with this one, I can see some uses for it. But it just makes you wonder again, like I don't know if it would fit anywhere because it's just a combination. But it also makes me feel like it might be too overpowered because it's taking the two best things about two different rollers and putting them into one.
Mhm.
So that's just my point. I feel like it's either going to be underpowered or overpowered.
It does take longer for that larger swing. I don't know how much longer though, so that will kind of determine its balance there. I think a little bit.
I reckon the balance is gonna actually come in from ink consumption.
Yeah, that's facts. There's a lot. We don't know. I think with the Flings are wrong, we don't know ink consumption. We don't know fling time. We don't know its sets. So it's going to be very, very interesting how that kit develops. I think a lot of people are curious how the Flings roller is going to develop.
I think if it could be like extremely good for support or slaying, depending on like what sub and special. Because if it gets like Toxic Mist or something, or like Burst Bombs, you could put on like some sub power up and sub saver, and probably do solidly with it.
Zones where it's like, okay, let me go get kills. Okay, let me just sit back and turf the zone real quick.
Yeah, so you could play it support or slayer.
So going on to the next weapon, which again has that weird combination, we got the Goo Tuber, which has a very interesting name. Basically a charger. Well, I don't know if there's a scoped version, but
There probably won't be scoped because it's got the charge hold as its.
I don't
as
see
far as
scope going on it.
Its gimmick is that it can hold a full charge for a very, very long time. And every time I looked at that clip in the direct, it looked like it had the exact same range.
I don't think it does. Because E-Leader charged in like 2 seconds, I'm pretty sure. And then Splatter Scope charges in like 1. This is probably going to be like somewhere between there.
Okay.
Like the nerf will be the charge time. And the benefit's
I'm
going to be
going on what I saw in direct. So I'm going to be curious, like, again, this is another weapon where it's like, okay, how is this going to exactly fit with the charger dynamic? Like, why would a charger basically use this? the better because it has a longer charge. Why would a person use an unscoped splat charger?
I'm still very upset that the scoped chargers are not able to hold their charge. That was something I did not like hearing. But yeah, I personally I just don't see the point of the GooTuber, and I probably won't be using it.
My take on it is that a lot of the I feel like a lot of Squiffer players are going to use this because it seems to probably be relatively similar in range, but you can hold that charge and you can just get off a shot when you're traversing around obstacles. Having a lot of use in that department with that subgroup of people who love the Squiffer. I think it's going to be something to be reckoned with.
That's a high praise for that weapon. But it's possible, and I think I see what you're saying, because I think it does come with splashdown or something like that.
Yeah, it's got
Maybe
like
it's-
I think it was
suction.
Splashdown, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
suction.
to be a close range weapon or something like that. Time will tell.
It's gonna be like a flanking charger or something.
As a Squiffer player, I have to disagree with Argo in that it'll be useful in that regard. It definitely seems like a useful weapon, but given its charge time, it doesn't seem like it would be great for the close quarters combat that Squiffer has, since the whole point of Squiffer is that it's got such a fast charge time.
It's the
But-
mid-range charger.
It definitely seems like a mid-range that could also be used for like an aggro play,
Mhm.
but Swiffer just seems like it outclasses it, and the regular splat charger just seems like it outclasses it in mid-range.
Well, now that we bring that up, the to me, I feel like it's obviously going to be more of a hit and run type weapon, like hide, charge up the shot, pop out, kill someone with it, and then just like go hide behind
back.
cover again, go back, get fill
And get
up the
another
charge,
shot.
and then come back, just literally hit and run the whole fight.
Mhm.
That seems that it seems like it would have some play in that. I don't see why someone who plays Squiffer just wouldn't pick Squiffer.
Well,
Uh,
unless Squiffer can't hold charge.
Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
think
have
everything-
a scope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everything without a scope can hold a charge for it's like just over a second, right? If I remember correctly. But this
That'll
one
be
can
weird
hold
for
it-
Bamboozler, because Bamboozler
Oh,
charges
geez.
so fast.
The next weapon is the Dapple Dualies, which is basically the dualies, but they have toothbrush on the end. What the Dapple Dualies they do is they allow you to roll faster. Toss is that you have a shorter range. Based on the description, they say the bullets are lighter, so maybe it takes a little bit longer to kill with the Dapple Dualies. Initially looking at it, my opinion was like, why? Like it's saw both dualies a little bit equivalent, but then once I saw that Dapple Dualies, it got beacons with suction bomb rush. But primarily it got beacons, which as far as we know, that's the only weapon that has beacons right now. They may be onto something with the beacons. Because what we recently found out, at least in story mode, we haven't confirmed outside, dualies have the ability to essentially drop dash while they're in the air. So if you're in the
Mhm.
air, you can do a dash roll and you'll fall faster to the ground. I can see something like beacons, with quick super jump maybe, and you would jump to your beacon, dually drop, and then you're automatically back in the fray real quick. And the dualies are kind of a fast moving weapon. So it's a weapon that you can get around, set up beacons, and you can just be having your teammates jump everywhere and you're jumping everywhere. So it could be an interesting little bug or an annoyance, depending on how it sets up. And Suction Bomb Rush is a very solid, so that's how I saw it.
I have a basic thoughts. Even if some people don't think it's going to be completely competitively viable, I feel like there's going to be quite a subgroup of people who use it just because they like the style of the weapon. Like they just seem really cool in their own right, even if they're not viable in the end. But Bomb Rush is a very good special, generally speaking. I mean, things are a bit now where we don't have really invincibles per se. Like there are the ones we found out recently that we're going to be going over, but they're not like straight up invincible Kraken and Bubble where like they have their weakness, but so I really see them finding their place with people for sure. Like they're not going to be left for nothing. They're gonna have their use.
I completely agree with you on the design thing. I know, like when what was it, the dual squelcher? I remember people always loved the red design of the dual squelcher when it
Mhm.
first came out. So it will be interesting to see how people adapt to that.
What I can say is I liked the dualies, like the original dualies when they first released them. While I liked the idea of having a faster roll, I don't know. Like, I want to play with the original dualies first before I have an official opinion on this weapon. But what I can say is I like the idea of having a faster roll because, as I've mentioned a few times in games, I do like playing things with high mobility. So just faster roll, just already it just sounds like something I'd like.
Right. I completely agree with that. And I think a lot of people, that's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to boil down to, is the faster roll worth the lack of range and less attack power? Is the set also worth it? I think that's going to decide where people kind of lean when it comes to the dualies.
From playing the test fire, the regular dualies seemed like they were very aggressive, up and close, like killing weapons, such as like the Octobrush. But this new design seems a lot more utility, with definitely with the beacons in this bomb rush. With the dualies, you could put down beacons, build up your special, then jump back, get turret control, and put down more beacons. Just seems like a very utility based weapon, very different from the regular dualies.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. I agree with that.
I also agree.
Well, I guess everyone agrees.
I have one little thing to add to the regular dualies is while the roll was cool, I think a lot of people did feel it was a little slow to initiate. Like if the Dapple dualies really are that much quicker, I definitely think that people might choose them over the regular ones, generally speaking. But it really, I think that really is the pivoting factor. Is the trade-off worth that faster roll? Like, how much of an improvement does that make it?
We're going to move to the Splatbrella, which I've seen a lot of people go bonkers over this thing, even though we don't know too much about it. But what the Splatbrella does is that it shoots a bunch of pellets, kind of like a shotgun. It pretty much is a shotgun. And then if you hold the shoot button or the ZR button, you will open the umbrella and create the shield. And if you keep holding onto the shoot button, the umbrella will basically fly forward and create this like moving shield for you. This is probably out of all the new weapons that they introduced, this is probably their most unique one from what they compared to what they've already shown us. And it's going to be pretty crazy how this is going to develop in the meta. Like I already said, what if they gave this splash walls an ink armor? Wouldn't that be fun? Or not fun?
I loved the Inkbrella the second they showed it off. I want a very supportive set with it. Like, and I think like something like Splash Wall, maybe Splat. Considering you already have a shield, I guess Splash Wall might be a bit overkill.
We don't.
Okay, well, Ink Armor, please, like, hook me up. I love the concept of using the Splatbrella and having the Ink Armor. Maybe even the little bubble. I can't remember what it's called. I would love Ink Armor. I love this weapon. I'm definitely going to be playing it.
I definitely want to try it. This is one of my most anticipated weapons too, since obviously, like we said, it is one of the most out of the new weapons we've seen. This is definitely more unique than the other ones that have more of a mashed up. Like the dualies are probably the one other that are the most unique other than this one. It's just what they showed of it in the last direct, like, and they did a great job of really selling just how awesome this thing could be, and I can't wait until we see it in full action. I wonder how much damage that shield can take exactly, and I wonder how difficult or easy it might be to splat with the shotgun like ink splats from it, because I don't know, it's hard to tell really with how little we've really seen of it, but it looks awesome.
This is actually also one of the weapons I'm probably most anticipated to play with. not so much just this specific splat umbrella, but the possible variants of what the splat umbrella could be. Maybe one that has a bigger bloom, so you can more protection, or one that doesn't shoot forward, so you can just constantly hold. I really like a supportive play style. I feel like Splatoon 1, it was more every weapon you had to be able to defend yourself, and it didn't really support the whole. Like, very few weapons played that supportive playstyle very well. This one I think would be more easier to understand, and even in like solo environment, I think this is where it can shine as a supportive weapon.
Gotcha.
In addition, I just feel that the Splat Brella would just excel in tower control and Rainmaker. You could just protect the objective really well with just holding that shield up. While in Rainmaker, you can just shoot that shield and it will help with the Rainmaker getting through.
So you talking about this? Maybe remember when someone said like heavy splat umbrella where you hold it forever kind of thing. That would make me really like that for tower control because what is it? You hold the umbrella up for 2 seconds and it shoots or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that wouldn't be good for tower control. Now that I think about it, because you'd be standing there for 2 seconds and then your shield would just leave,
fly away.
Well, I assume you're gonna
I thought-
feather the shield in tower
I mean,
control,
yeah, you
the
could,
normal
but
one,
like it'd
could
be nice
also,
to have
like-
one that doesn't last for 2 seconds, one that you could last
I
longer.
thought
You could like refresh the shield by like squid
I
form
don't
and then like a
Oh, I
charger
I guess
would
you
do.
could. I mean, you could do that, but then you would be
It
defenseless.
takes some
for
time to set it
that
up.
small amount of time.
I
Yeah.
understood it that the way you launched it was holding it and then pushing forward and letting go after holding it for that duration. So if you're standing still, I thought it just stayed. From what I
No.
understood from the direct.
It
Were
kinda
there more
depends.
details that came out related to that?
On the description that I found, it will automatically fly off if you hold it for an extended period of time. But don't underestimate seconds. Like, remember, this is Splatoon. Like, and remember, like tower control, you have checkpoints. So you can hold that umbrella, and there's like, what, 10, or sometimes it's 5 seconds. You hold the umbrella, you're
Yeah.
shielded. Then it flies off in the direction that you're holding it. So technically, it's still a shield for a little bit. So that
Mhm.
that can easily turn into an extra few seconds that you need to get past that one checkpoint.
I'm not denying that the shooting of the shield would be good. It's just I'm just worried about those few seconds where you're just defenseless on the tower. Then again,
You don't
I guess that would be broken to be completely fine.
And what you were saying about how it could be good in Rainmaker to just like walk in front of it. I wonder if the run speed would affect that. So you could like push forward quicker. Like while you're holding up the shield.
Possible. Let's move on to sub weapons. Which wasn't a lot, to be honest. In the direct, they kind of only pointed out the 2 sub weapons that haven't been in the test fire, and that isn't old. And that's auto bomb and poison mist. And so the auto bomb is basically it's kind of like Seekers. You throw it, and then within a 360-degree radius, if it detects an inkling, it'll crawl or walk towards them, and it'll pop. It'll create this big explosion. My only main concern about it is like it has to detect, it has to go towards something, and then it takes a while to explode. So it's kind of like suction bombs, but I don't know what the radius is, if it's going to be worth the suction bombs. That's my only concern about it.
If you put on sub power up, it might be able to detect like a wider radius, so that could make it more beneficial than suction.
It's mostly just like a sentry. Like it's more like a defensive thing. Like it makes me wonder why Ink Mine still exists, but it's mostly just a little thing to protect an area, which is what the same thing I was thinking about the poison mist is. These 2 specials, both of them in my opinion, are about area control, like cutting off choke points. Like you put these things down in a choke point, and then people can't walk through. Well, I mean they could walk through it, but they might die or get slowed.
I have one question related to this, and that's whether or not inking them will neutralize them or cause them to explode beforehand.
As far as
It
we
seems
know,
like-
no, that is not the case. What I just thought of was like you could use it to chase away people. Like let's say you have a heavy or a charger on a snipe area, you can throw it, and it's like, okay, now I gotta run.
I think this might be most effective on dynamos that are in the middle of a swing potentially. You can lock onto them while they're executing their swing, and then it'll follow them. It'll chase after them. The bomb rush might be pretty interesting, more so than just the single sub.
It also made to be that you actually brought a good point with the dynamo, because there's a lot of specials that kind of leave you vulnerable, that all of a sudden a walking bomb can attack you, like Tenna missiles. Shooting antenna missiles or Stingray. Like they would have to, if you throw a auto bomb at a person using Stingray, they pretty much have to give up their special or die. Okay, so let's go on to Poison Mist, which it was called Toxic Mist, so it's now called Poison Mist.
I'm just gonna call it Mist.
So when thrown, it creates this circular area of fog, and if someone gets in the fog, they will move slowly and they'll gradually lose ink. The longer they're in there, the more the effects multiply. But on the bright side, if you leave it, the effects immediately wear off all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Poison Mist, one end is like when it comes to aim, it's easier than Disruptors. But overall, I would say this is a balanced version of Disruptors, because Disruptor, it basically has the ability to infinitely lock a person down at a certain spot sometimes. And it was very spammable. Poison Mist in this game takes up a lot of ink and has a lot of white ink. It's not a spammable sub. But Disruptors was a spammable sub. And I think even a couple of days ago, Gatsby was like, I'm going to put bomb range up on Moray Towers. And he just started chucking Disruptors at an E-Leader. And the E-Leader was just stuck at the same spot for most of the game. He couldn't even do anything. So to balance that, they made it a miss and non-spammable. And looking at it, and it looks like it's going to be very good at controlling areas, especially in tower control. So what do you guys think on Poison Mist?
I think this is going to be a stronger version of the Ink Wall, to be honest, except Poison Wall. It's going to not really have a way to be taken down faster, as far as I've been aware. And it's just going to have area of effect that no one's going to really want to go into. So quartering off areas, this is going to be really good at that. And it might not be as good as the Disruptor in Splatoon 1 when it comes to that function, but it's going to make a great wall. So it's going to be a pretty good sub.
I see what you're saying about the balancing of the Disruptor, but I don't think that was the intention of this. I think this was more of just a diversity thing to make it so that it's pretty obvious that it's, area control. I said that earlier. You guys said that now. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but that's what I like about it is you didn't really have any way to control or lock down or cut off an area, really. Like, I guess you could put a splash wall up, but that was just killable. And everyone just used it defensively to put it in front of them anyways. But, like, to compare it to splash wall, I don't see why you would just throw Toxic Mist into an open area. I just like having these. I'm going to be using it in different weapons as well. I love the idea of the Toxic Mist and having the ability to control and lock down areas, even for a short amount of time.
Let's move on to specials that were revealed, mainly the new ones. It was Ink Armor, Bomb Launcher, Ink Storm, Baller, and Bubble Blower. Let's start with Ink Armor. Ink Armor, when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's the Bubbler special weapon. It basically grants you invincibility, but it only negates a single attack. It is also a universal special, so it doesn't matter where you are when you activate it. You can be on one side of Moray, you can be in San Francisco, but when you activate it, all of your teammates get the effect. At the moment, like on the surface, I would say that this is probably going to be one of the top specials. However, that's somewhat dependent on what exactly a single attack needs. If you're walking by and it's like, yeah, I got Ink Armor on, and then all of a sudden a sprinkler droplet hits you on the head, does that make the Ink Armor wear off? That would be kind of silly.
I'm pretty sure it does. I'm pretty sure it literally negates the first instance of damage you take.
And then it's gone.
Even if it was like,
What if you
I don't
step
know.
into enemy ink?
I was just gonna say, I don't know about stepping in enemy ink.
Because
Probably test that at the beginning.
what I have seen is like when you look at the animation, is they get hit and then they start shedding ink, and it almost looks like they still have the armor on. So I'm wondering, because even the Dynamo has multiple pellets in its flip, so like a Dynamo wouldn't even be affected by the special theoretically. But so I'm
Mhm.
curious if it's something where it's like as soon as that first hit activates, you still have like a little half of a second of invincibility while it's coming off of your body.
That would make more
Yeah,
sense to
I think
negate
That would
something like a
counteract
dynamo.
like Dynamo, because Dynamo has like 15 things that hit you.
Yeah, I guess that would make more sense if as soon as you get hit by one instance of damage and then it starts shedding off and you have like a second left to not die or something like
Yeah.
that. That would make
Yeah.
more sense.
I think that is the most likely outcome as well. Yeah.
When you get hit, you're invincible for one more second.
Right. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I love the idea of ink armor also. Like I'm loving all of this supporty stuff that they've added, the umbrella and the thermal ink and this and the another special coming up, the rain cloud. Like I love all this supporty stuff, and I never really thought that I would be a person who liked playing that supporty role, like what Dan was saying earlier. But I love all this stuff, and with the potential of chargers not being required every game, I definitely feel like I'll be taking a more supportive role alongside chargers. And I feel like with all this new stuff, ink armor included, like I'm gonna have a blast doing it.
Yeah, my take on this is I didn't realize, like, I didn't see that part about wherever you are, your whole team gets it. Where bubble, you had to be directly next to the person for it to transfer in Splatoon 1. So I thought this was going to be a pretty balanced thing where, it could instigate pushes out because you have basically one hit free to, get up on the enemy. But with that aspect of it applying wherever you are, this could really be strong with team pushes even more so, because you can get everyone lined up for different flanks and whatnot and activate it and just charge in potentially. So there's going to be interesting strats, I think, developed around this, especially.
Right. And let me add that it does take, it takes a decent while to start up. It's like 2 seconds.
Mhm.
So I would say the one biggest thing to say, okay, assuming it does have like a half a second.
It's not a panic button.
Yeah, great.
It has mist, it has sound, it has all kinds of animation, and it's like 2 seconds before you actually get that ink armor. It's a wow.
It feels like a good answer to the controversy around like the bubbler, since it is still technically an invincibility special, but it works like bubbler in the way that it shares it with your team. But it's also not instantaneous, and it doesn't last for 5 seconds. So it just feels like definitely like a dumbed down version of the bubbler, but a good answer to what people wanted out of the bubbler.
Okay, let's move on to bomb launcher, which again I'm just gonna rush through this one because it's basically the bomb rush special, but you can throw it farther by holding the throw button. The difference between bomb rush and bomb launcher is that it doesn't necessarily have to have the same sub weapon as the
It doesn't have to be the same type of bomb.
and you also cannot use your main weapon while using this. In Splatoon 1, you have bomb rush. You can throw your splat bombs, and if someone's coming up from your left side, you can say, okay, let me Luna blast this person, and then you can keep throwing splat bombs. Now, it also looks like you can't throw the bombs at your feet. So this is not...
It's not going to be like Splatter Scope or something where you just drop a bunch of bombs at your feet if someone's rushing you.
I love that, and to not have that is a bit of a downside, but it's a trade-off.
It's more for map control than self-defense.
Yeah, I feel this is going to be very sentry based. Like they're going to have to find a spot to use it, kind of like a charge or like an e-leader spot, sort of.
Mhm.
It's not something they're going to want to pop out in the middle of zone.
Right. Let's move on to Inkstorm. Now, Inkstorm, when thrown, it creates basically a rain cloud of ink that drifts across. So far from what I'm seeing online, it's
The worst special.
I wouldn't say it's polarizing, but you have like a small number of people liking it, and you have a decent amount of people that are like, I don't know about it.
The pretty much the entirety of the competitive scene is saying this is the worst special.
The cons for the Inkstorm is that it's true, it does not paint all that great. It does little sprinkles. That the cloud travels a little bit too fast So like if you just throw it over zone, it might not necessarily paint the zone compared to like say ink strike. And then also when it comes to killing a person, from what we've seen, it takes 2 to 3 seconds for the person to be in the storm for them to die in it. That being said, from what I've seen, it's the only special that has the least amount of risk, and it's the fastest using special in the game. Like every other special is like, okay, it has a startup time, or you have to stand in the spot and you can't do anything else. This one, what it does is it's instantaneous. To me, that very little delay should not be underestimated. And another thing that I feel that people may be overlooking is we don't know what special power up does for it. Like because if all of a sudden you have this big cloud or it rains faster, then this special would be all of a sudden where it's kind of maximized. It's really good.
I will say immediately this is my favorite special they've ever released in the entirety of Splatoon 1 and 2. I love the idea of this. I will admit it looks a little underpowered right now, and it could use some buffs. However, I love the idea of it. The thing that I think people are underestimating is, yes, it doesn't paint very well, and yes, it doesn't kill very fast. But the thing, again, is this theme of area control. You're going to throw it down. So if we're having, like, let's just say we're fighting over zone, and the team, like, other team is over there, is on one side, and we're on the other side of it, and I'm in the back, and I throw it, and it travels forward throughout the entire thing, covering the zone, covering us as our team, and eventually going to go over the enemy team. And if we push under it, like, or if you guys are fighting and I drop it on the whole team fight, what would be the purpose of staying? Like, they're going to move. The other team is going to leave. Like, I realize it doesn't do a lot of damage, doesn't paint very fast, but the whole theme to me, I think, that they're going for is area control. Like, I'm going to put this down, and even though it doesn't kill fast, the enemy team is not going to want to stand in it. If you do, you're stupid. So, just like imagine we have 1 second left on the zone, and they're about to take it. I can drop it. They're not going to stand. Well, I mean, they're going to try to stand in it, but we'll have easier chances to kill them. Like, I love the idea of this special, and while I do think it could use a few buffs, honestly, I think it should move slower. But I love the idea of it, and I am so excited to use it. And I have been saying this before sets were released. I want this on a charger, and I am so glad. I am so happy that it is on an E-liter. Like, I'm so excited it's on E-liter. That was my dream set, was Storm on E-liter, and I am so excited to use it.
So I agree with, I think, everything you said. I think it's underrated currently, and it's gonna be useful if used right for routing the enemy, especially around, I mean, any objective really, but I'm most interested in seeing how it develops with zones, since it does ink a bit, and how that might help with routing the other team. It needs to be explored.
That makes sense. Okay, let's move on to basically the baller is like what happens is when you activate it, the inkling enters a hamster ball, which allows it to move around quickly, and then press the ZR button, and then the baller explodes and covers the surrounding area. Apparently, the ball has health, so it's not an invincibility. To be honest, I don't even know if this special. Like on one end, I'm like, I don't know if this special is that good. On the other end, I'm like, this might be a really.
I'm excited to see how it is played. I want to know how much damage it can take. For example, if it can take a pretty good amount of damage and knockback isn't too bad, I think it could be useful for charging like a sniper, for example. If like one or two snipes doesn't take it out instantly, that might be interesting for flanking purposes. And as I was looking, it's on a 52, so if it's decent in that regard, I'm kind of excited potentially.
It's also on Luna Blaster.
I still think 52 is not going to be very good because I got point sensor, but
I think about it this way: you could point sensor and then use this to track them down with a flank potentially.
yeah.
It depends. Like, it may not be good, but I hope it is useful.
What weapon did that? Where they went point sensor cracking?
It was Heavy Deco, 83, and then Neo Sploosh.
Gotcha.
I don't think there was any others.
Okay, so we're just gonna have to see how that works. Special that they revealed, which is the bubble blower. What this does, or what it looks like, it's there's some confusing information out there. But it looks like that when you make 3 bubbles and then you shoot it, and then they get bigger and then they'll eventually explode. What we don't know is like, can the enemy shoot it into? Well, at a set time.
I saw info on this from an official source. I think it was the Japan Twitter or something. But there was info saying that if the enemy shoots them, they shrivel up and disappear. So you have to launch them and then shoot them before the enemy's able to neutralize them.
So they will disappear.
Yes, they will shrink up and disappear if they're shot by the enemy.
This is a weapon that you have to use it, and then it's basically you have to get it. You have to explode it at max.
Yeah, you want to get them if you want to get the most benefit. The only good thing about it is that it's not like the Rainmaker Shield where the enemy could make this your special benefit them. Because if it exploded in their color, then it would just be bad.
That's what I thought it was, and I was a bit worried about that. But to know that it just shrivels up and dies, that's a good thing in my opinion.
Maybe that's why, like when you look in the video, it has such an insane explosion in turf amount because it's hard to get off. I'm assuming which will happen in the meta is that you probably would, if you can, focus on one bubble and try to get that bubble off.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them or something.
Right.
Yeah, it might end up being a team effort sort of thing in order to keep the enemy from neutralizing it before you can get it off.
Imagine blowing that up over a Rainmaker. Now, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Like full special charge on Forge Pro. Would be strange.
Let's go to the abilities. I'm going to go through them, and then we can talk about if you have a specific one you want to talk about, you can go ahead and talk about them. There are about 5 new abilities in the game. Well, there's more than 5 new abilities. Some have gotten changed, but there's like 5 prominent different abilities in the game.
There's 5 new ones.
We have Bomb Defense Up, which reduces blast damage, but then it also from subs, but it also reduces the blast damage from special weapons. And at this point in time, we have 6 out of 9 specials that actually have blast damage. So that actually makes Bomb Defense Up a solid ability to consider. Odds are someone's going to have bombs and someone's going to have specials that have a blast radius to it. Then we have Thermal Ink. When a player attacks an opponent with their main weapon and they don't actually kill them, that enemy can be seen by the player. That Inkling has to be standing. They cannot be in squid form. If they're in squid form, you will not see them. They have to be actually standing up.
I did not know that.
We also have Respawn Punisher. The time until respawn by about half a second and increases the amount of special gauge a person will lose that you kill. So if you kill someone, they're going to take longer to respawn and they're going to lose some of their special gauge.
So does that mean it increases depletion?
Yes. So if depletion is at 50%, let's say they'll lose 40% instead. The effects also apply to you when you die, and it's unknown, but it's assumed that these effects stack when you trade. The next ability is the Object Shredder. What the Object Shredder does is it increases the damage dealt to objects. And then we have the Drop Roller, which allows the player to roll after performing a super jump. Any of you guys' thoughts on these abilities? The one thing that I wanted to point out is Object Shredder, because I don't know, for some reason it looks like Object Shredder ain't getting that much love, but I thought it was like an interesting ability because there's actually a lot of things that
does it stack or
sprinklers,
just one main ability?
Balls. You have the ink rail spouts because you have to shoot the ink rails spouts a certain amount of times before they activate. You also have the sponges, where you saw in macro. You have the Rainmaker Shield. You have the Baller, which has a certain amount of health. You even have the Bubble Blower. So we know the Forge has Bubble Blower, so maybe the Forge would use Bubble Blower, throw some bubbles, and then with Object Shredder, they would quickly expand their bubble and explode it. Like there's a lot of things that Object Shredder can help with. So I think that's going to be, especially in Rainmaker, I think we're going to see a lot of that.
I think I said it already, but Thermal Ink, I love the idea of it. I won't be using it on a charger, obviously, but for when I play these more supportive weapons like the Umbrella or the Pro with the Ink Storm, I'm definitely going to be using Thermal Ink. I just love the idea of it.
I think, Jin, I think you really sold me on the Object Shredder more than I was, honestly, because it was looking kind of weak to me, but you brought up a lot of good points with that. And you know,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It could be very useful. I think the one that is the most iffy right now of these new abilities is the respawn Punisher, because it's very kind of 1-to-1 ratio. Like if you annihilate people very effectively, it could work great for you. But I don't know if the payoff is worth the risk.
It's gonna
It
be.
kind of seems like it won't be.
I think it'll be really good for Slayers that are going positive, like 2 kills per death.
Also, I think it will be good for chargers because
Oh,
Yeah.
that's probably where
Maybe.
it'll see the most use, I think.
Maybe. I don't think it will, because it also makes you respawn slower, and that'll make your charger have a longer downtime. So you want.
well, this is in theory if the charger isn't dying as much, like because the charger is supposed to be far back.
If it's an aggro, I don't see them using it, but if it's
It
like
won't
the
be
E
on-
leader with Rain Cloud, I see them
Yeah.
potentially using
Yeah,
it.
I might try it, but it depends on how how much people are getting in my face. Because if I'm dying too much, then obviously I don't want it.
If
But
you're
if I-
getting rushed down, then
Yeah,
no.
but I'm definitely gonna try it with the charger builds. But
Builds is going to be something that I'm going to be testing a lot for the first probably month, to be honest.
Especially damage up on chargers is gonna make
yeah,
your
and
builds
now with the lack of damage,
strange.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
It'll probably be like swim speed, so you can carry a Rainmaker or something.
Assuming the speed nerf still exists, right? I
Probably.
probably.
I'd,
You know,
I'd expect it to.
I haven't heard anything about that, but I would expect it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just be conservative. So
It seems like it would stay. It's not.
I was just gonna say I agree with Argo in that on a defensive charger, respawn Punisher would be, but on an aggro it would be not very good.
It won't be good for Swiffer.
Yeah.
I, for one, is actually very excited about Respawn Punisher.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, sniping from a sniper point of view, it's very advantageous. Like the same reason why we would use tenacity, like because we didn't tend not to die as much. But
Mhm.
the thing I just really don't like is the drop roller. I think drop roller will see its use in maybe lower level play, where
Yeah.
why people the same reason why people would use Ninja Squid in the but yeah, once you
Excuse
get
me,
the
I
higher
use Squid-
levels, people generally only super jump to teammates that are well hidden.
Or
And
safe jumps.
Wasn't it said that you can't stealth swim like you could in Splatoon 1 without Ninja Squid? Isn't that
Yeah. There's no you can tap the stick and hide ripples. If you swim, it gives about the same amount of ripples as if you were swimming at full speed. So there's no stealth swim without Ninja Squid. It's also pretty good for seeker surfing or whatever you want to call it.
right,
you
that's
just-
possible. Let's move on to the weapon kits. We're not going to go into detail about each weapon kit because if we did, this discussion would be 10 years long. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about either a kit that was revealed that we're most interested in or a kit that we would like to see. So I'm going to go first. And for me, when I saw the Jet Sculpture, I almost dropped to my knees and cried.
Yeah, Jet's kit is insane.
The Jet
That's-
Sculpture came with Poison Mist and Tinta missiles.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Too good. It's gonna be like Luna.
I
if
think a
Luna
lot
had-
of Jet Sculpture mains would agree that this weapon at times can take forever to net kills. There are many times where you go 1 bullet, 2 bullet, 3 bullet. Okay, they ran away, and then you kind of have to throw a burst bomb or something like that.
Thermal ink is gonna be good on Jet
Right.
for sure.
Mainly ran the custom Jet Sculpture because they had to rely on that burst bomb to reduce kill time. Because a lot of times, if people can run away, especially when you didn't have map control, you weren't going to get that kill. But now, like Gatsby said, we have thermal ink. So if we only get 3 bullets, okay, we have an idea where you are. We can come to our teammates, or we can find a
And
good
they
position
They
to
can
go
finish
after
it
you.
up.
And I personally don't think it's a coincidence Nintendo decided to use the Jet Sculpture to showcase thermal ink.
Yeah,
You know what though? Poison Mist might work with it though. It depends on the map.
that'll
Right.
slow them down and make it
What-
less likely for them to run away.
Right. What Poison Mist does is it allows the Jet Squelcher to do two things, especially if they choose to run Bomb Range Jump, which is possible now that we don't have damage up,
Sub power up.
which will result, I believe Poison Mist was confirmed to be Bomb Range up. You can throw the Poison Mist at the range of the Jet Squelcher, and then
Or a little bit. If you throw it a little bit further, that'll be even better, because then when they try to back up, they'll go into it.
Right. So then they're basically stuck there, and you basically can get a very solid kill off of that. You also can throw Poison Mist in certain areas, like we talked about before, control areas, and that Poison Mist makes a sound. When people enter, it makes that disruptor sound. So if you hang around Poison Mist and you hear that sound, someone trying to quickly go through it, you can just start shooting at them like fish in a barrel. So it's even if someone quickly goes into the mist and quickly goes out, you're slowing them temporarily, which gives the Jet Squelcher that extra time that it needed to get that kill. And then Tenta Missiles is just the icing on the cake. It's a long range special that can locate, it can solidly turf, and it can also at certain times net a kill. And that's just great for managing map control, which facilitates what the Jet's playstyle is. So I'm overwhelmingly looking forward to this weapon as a Jet main. Christmas for everyone that mains Squelcher.
Yeah, Jet's kit is really good.
Love Jet.
That's all I have to say for that one. Okay.
Can I go next?
Go ahead, Arco.
Go ahead.
So I love Jet Squelcher too, so I agree with you there. I'm gonna mess with it, but the other main one that I'm interested in is the 96 Gal with the sprinkler and the ink armor. I think 96 is a pretty supportive weapon as is, but it's really good at killing too. I wonder if there's going to be any major change to like the accuracy or anything if they're going to mess with that from Splatoon 1, because they kind of messed with that throughout that game's life cycle before they stopped updates. So, but if it's similar to what it is now in Splatoon 1, I think it could still be pretty good. Like it will be a supportive weapon where you use Sprinkler to help build that ink armor faster, and you can coordinate flanks with that ink armor. I'm really interested in that.
Right. Okay. Let's go with Amber.
Of the ones that already have been shown, the one that excited me the most was the Jet Squelcher also. So instead, I want to talk about what I would like to see on the Flingza roller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, personally, I would love to see Poison Mist on it and then the Bubble Blower, because they would complement the extended range of the vertical flick. I am just so excited about that. Being able to get up close and personal, like the Carbon, but then also being able to zone people out with the range. I really want to play it.
Yeah, I think that with Bubble Blower, that would give Dynamo a run for its money. Decide on what they want consistent overall turfing. Do they want that
because
a large turf with the Bubble Blower?
If it gets burst bombs, I think it'll be solid for support.
Okay, so let's go with Tea Party.
Alright, so of the sets I've seen so far, I haven't been impressed with too many of them, except for like Luna maybe, just because of it gets almost an invincibility special,
I hate
which
Luna's kit.
breaks my heart.
I hate
but
Luna's kit.
I hate it too. But
Why did they give it a
personally-
bomb again?
Personally, all I want to see is a regular roller with splashdown. It's my favorite special, and I really don't care what the sub is as long as it's not like beacons on Crackon roller. But even with the current kit right now with it, which is curling bombs and splashdown, I would be completely fine with that. I absolutely love it. I just need splashdown on my roll.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're pretty happy with the roller that they already shown then?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm with Argo in saying that I'm actually really hyped for the 96 Gal. I actually really like the original, like the normal 96 Gal in Splatoon 1. And I think like I said previously, I am all for more supportive played weapons as opposed to just some kind of weapons where you have to tear through people. But one that I'm looking forward to, and I didn't say much when we were going through it, is actually the YouTuber. I think having a hit and run play style with the charger is actually going to be different, and it's something that I personally want to look forward to. I'm not sure about its suction bomb, but I'm still for suction bomb as an escape option, even if it means if you have to give up your charge, and that I'm fine with. Just YouTuber is probably something that I'm probably going to invest a lot of time into.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Okay, Gatsby, you can go.
Alright, so right now, kits that have been revealed, I think my favorites are probably Mini, Heavy, and Dynamo. Because Mini is going to be good to finish off kills with burst bombs like Remy, and
What-
that's got
What is the mini set?
burst bomb, 10 of missiles. And then Heavy is just going to be like, sprinklers have gotten buffed or nerfed depending on what you think. They paint like way faster at the beginning, and then they can they self-destruct after a while. So that'll be good for Stingray spam maybe. And then the Dynamo is just going to be solid for map control, and the buffed ink mines will be good with that.
Wait, how are they buffing Inkman? Could you elaborate on
They
that?
give a sensor if it doesn't kill them, and it's also a bigger
Hmm.
radius, and you can put 2 of them instead of 1.
Don't know how much I like that, but it's definitely better than what it once was, because regular
the-
Inkmine was not.
Right.
And
And
ink mines in this game are terrible.
in Splatoon 1, you mean?
Yeah, because you basically have to paint in the center of it or walk directly on top of it.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Lauren?
I just really want something like I really want Inkstorm, and I want like either or sprinklers, and I want that either on a roller or on a custom junior if there's a custom variant. Cause like to me, I feel like I like that startup mechanic now where they just run faster and they can ink more. But like if you want to fling like at someone, then that mechanic's gonna go away and it's not really gonna help with inking all that much. And yeah, you have vertical flicks, but then it's like it's helpful, but not really. I mean, well, actually, yeah, it is helpful. But like then, but I feel like you can throw poison mist at someone, and like you can slow them down, and it'll like give a roller a shot against like long range players a bit more. Like even if you were to do poison mist and then vertical flick, or if you were to do poison mist, then you had your special somehow. And like you did ink storm over it, and so like they're already slowed down from poison mist while they're in the thing, and then even though Inkstorm moves, they already get damage from it. And then you just use like a vertical flick or something and you attack them and you could possibly kill them, or you just tell your teammates like, hey, I just used this on them, and they come and kill them. Or like maybe like sprinkler, because you throw out Inkstorm, then you use like the sprinkler right when Inkstorm's about to, and you get like your special after it's done, and like then you pretty much have like your ink storm back, and you also have some map control because rollers somewhat have like an issue with map control when their team doesn't really have it, and it'll like give them an opportunity to like go in.
You actually bring up an interesting point, and again, why who knows where we're gonna have to wait and see what Inkstorm does. If you're
Sprinkler and Inkstorm.
not even Sprinkler and Inkstorm, just like she's saying, like okay,
Painting with
on
the
a
storm.
roller. Like right, like if you're like there's one zone that's like on that's like in a little trench area, kind of like Urchin Underpass. Is you throw that
Yeah.
you just quickly throw the bomb down and you just automatically start doing your vertical flick. You have that zone by
Yeah.
yourself like that. So that's actually
If Dynamo got
oh
that,
please.
it would be good.
I hope
Because then
not.
Dynamo could like flick over that little like fence wall thing on the left side, on the top of the zone.
So that would be an interesting kit for a roller to have. That's a good one. Okay, so the last person that we have, but not least, is we have Corey. So Corey, what is your number?
I think I've mentioned it enough throughout this whole thing that I love the idea of Inkstorm and support and the Ink Armor. But I'll just say again, just like the other two, 96 Sprinkler Ink Armor, I love that. I'm going to be playing that. Splattershot Pro Point Sensor Inkstorm, I love that. I'm going to be playing that. Something I want, but I don't really see it on any weapons I want to use really are Tenta missiles. I might honestly pick up Jet Sculpture because that set is godlike. I think I've said this to Amber probably 5,000 times. I want a charger with Inkstorm. Like, please. That was like
it was like at
the-
least 1,000 times.
the number one thing I wanted from this game, and I got it, and I am so happy with that, especially because it's on E-Leader. Like, that's even just better. That's just icing on the cake. That's E-Leader, not Splat Charger.
Yeah, what do you think about that ink mine?
I would prefer something different, but with the buffs to it, I like it better. Like, when I first read that, I thought it was original ink mines, and I was like, this sucks. But then Amber told me about the buffs to the ink mine, and I like it a bit better, but I want to see how it works first.
Let me add something to the E-Leader kit that I've seen a lot of people just say that they're not feeling the E-Leader. But like one thing I haven't seen a lot of people say is you can put ink mine on both sides of you.
Yeah.
You can essentially protect, especially with sub performance up, which increases the radius. So you have something you can go out that can either kill someone or say, hey, someone's coming on your right side. You better do something.
The ink mine will be good on Moray, because then you can protect people coming up from like where the zone was in Splat 1. And then you can also protect from like the sneaky part on the left side.
I want to test it first, but I do love the idea of what the buffs mean and what the E-Leader has. I love this E-Leader kit, and I'm really excited to use it.
Okay, I think we've had our discussion quite long enough, and that's all the time that we have for now. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Tidal Talk, and this is episode 2. Again, you can find episode 1 in the description below, and if you want to hear more from us, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, and remember, don't get cooked, stay off the hook.